What's up, guys? It's Drew from the Sober Fix podcast. If addiction has affected you in any way, this might be the channel for you. We got another week sober, another episode. We got Josh Woll, Woll, been in the film industry for 20 plus years, started off with weddings. He's done documentaries, he's had his own production company. He's also the creator of The Sober Creative and a clarity coach today. He gets into his experiences with alcohol, man, how it started to take away certain aspects of his life, started to cause him problems, why he got sober, what he did to get sober, what he does today to maintain sobriety. A lot of exciting stuff. I just want to say thank you guys for your support, your likes, your comments, your shares, letting me know what's going on with you. You know I love hearing that stuff. Let's get into it, guys. What's happening, guys? We're back. Another episode of the Sober Fix podcast. I hope anyone listening is doing well, and I hope your sobriety is going well. And if you're out there struggling, I hope that that you listen to some of these podcasts, or at least another podcast, any podcast. That really helped me in the beginning. I remember just going through it in early sobriety, and I just didn't know how I was going to get another day sober. And I would listen to a bunch of other people talking about their journey, and it just kind of gave me hope. So we've got another great guest on today. We've got Josh on. He's the creator of The Sober Creative. We're going to get into all of that. 20 years in the film industry, years of sobriety. Thanks for taking the time to come on here, Josh.
Oh, thanks for having me, Drew. It's awesome being here. Yeah.
Yeah, man. And before I get into your business, what was it like 20 years in the film industry? Do you still do stuff in the film industry, or what was that like?
Yeah, no, I'm still in it. And I don't know if I'll ever be out of it, to be honest. I enjoy it so much, and it's a lot different now too, being sober with it. But I started out, went to film school, UNC Wilmington, and after I graduated, I started doing weddings and did that for a number of years, and moved into starting my own production business and did commercials and live events and documentaries. And a lot of my work shifted to documentaries, and worked on a TV series, The Chef's Life, that was on PBS and had over 5 seasons, and Emmy Peabody award-winning series. And that was amazing to be a part of. Yeah, I'm still doing documentaries. We got a series coming out next year on Amazon about Kyle Larson attempting the double. Have you ever heard of the double?
I haven't. What is the double?
No. Double is when a NASCAR driver attempts to do the Indy 500 and a NASCAR race in the same day.
Oh, okay, cool.
Different states, 1,100 miles, 6 hours in the car. It's just bonkers. So.
I almost got to see an Indy 500, and we were in Indiana, and I was visiting, family and stuff. And of course, right when it was going to start, we're in there, we got our seats. I'm like, let's go. And right when it was going to start, it started raining. It started raining hard, and we had to stop. And all the drinkers loved it because they had 3 hours to wait, right? And everyone's just chugging, and I was sober at the time. Pit. But yeah, funny story. That was one of the times where I'm like, damn, it would be kind of nice to drink a beer, kill some time right now. But it just,
yeah. It was that. I mean, it happened. He attempted it twice, and I remember we had golf carts to be able to trek around the track, and I remember going through one of the tunnels after a lightning storm, and it was like post-apocalyptic going through that tunnel, and just people just drunk running in front of the golf cart, screaming and throwing drinks and all. It was just like, it was wild. It's a wild time. People have fun.
That would have been an event where, let's say I was ready to watch the race and I was drinking, and then they said it's going to start. We got to wait. We got a delay of 3 hours. I probably wouldn't have made it back to my seat. Like, the drinking would have taken over, and it would have been one of those missed opportunities for me. Like, I used to have just so many. But Josh, I want to ask you real quick, where do you live now, and where did you grow up?
I live in Raleigh, North Carolina, and I've been here since 2000. I grew up in Sacramento, California. Lived there for I was about 10, and we moved to East Coast and lived in Florida for a year, and then up to Kentucky for a couple of years, and back to Florida, and then North Carolina. So I think I was in the military, but one place was too hot or cold for my parents, and so they were like, "Let's go try this place." And yeah, so ended up North Carolina, and I absolutely love it. I've really enjoyed my time here. Um,
That's cool, man. What was childhood like for you?
Oh wow. Childhood was really good, man. I mean, my parents, they're both in like the care industry. My dad was a guidance counselor for 30 plus years. My mom was a ENT nurse in the hospital for over 40 years. And I'm like an only child. I have a half brother. He's estranged. I haven't talked to him in years, and so I grew up pretty much only child, and so a lot of care, a lot of attention, But like my parents are so nurturing and so loving, and just were all about me going after it, and very supportive, and even in instances where I came home one night at 6:30 in the morning, LSD kicking in off of two gel tabs, screaming, "Don't let me die." Dogs going bananas. Like, and they're just, how do we help this guy? And let's see, another time was getting bailed out of jail. um yeah, they have been so supportive. Really two beautiful people, and I feel like that has shaped my personality and experience and how I move through the world. And see I see the best in people. Whenever I hang out with them, with friends, family, strangers. I mean, I think, man, it's like we're all born out of love, and somewhere along the way we get lost. We get lost by something someone says to us, or an experience of abuse, or whatever it might be, of something in fear, and we kind of lose track of that, and we stop believing in ourselves, and we lose that childlike spirit, and then we reach for something to comfort us, and that's where alcohol came into the picture for me. So
Yeah, you said that so well too, where things start to happen, and I love that you mentioned kind of, look, someone says something to us, or maybe we have some traumatic thing that goes on. What something makes us uncomfortable, and I was the same way. And it's like by the time I found alcohol, I reached for it for some relief, and I just absolutely loved it. I want to ask you, how old were
mm.
you when you were kind of introduced to alcohol?
Yeah, I mean, I must have been like 14 or 15 when I was first introduced, and it was by my brother. I vaguely remember he was at an apartment complex out by the pool. He was drinking Budweiser, and I walked past him, and he's like, "Here, try this." And I think I spit it out, and I was like, "Why the fuck are you drinking this? This
Yeah.
is disgusting." and that didn't stick, though. I mean, it sure enough. I mean, you go through college and high school, and the party experiences, and once you get past a couple, taste doesn't really matter. So yeah, that was
Yeah,
the
I was
first
the same
one.
way. When I
Mhm.
first tried it, it was like, "This is the worst tasting soda I've ever had." And I hadn't felt the effect from it yet. I remember when I first tried it, I'm like, "Man, why are they drinking this?" I just couldn't understand, and until I finally had, that opportunity where there was enough around and there wasn't like any parents around or
Yeah.
whatever. And I was able to drink as much as I wanted at that time. And man, I finally understood why so many people kind of turn to it. Did you drink a lot
Mhm.
in college? What were your college years like?
Yeah, I mean, I probably drank every weekend. Yeah, I had the experience too of doing a lot of X, over the years as well. So, um, I think like I smoked a lot of weed too, but like I smoked weed, but I would get really paranoid. So I don't I don't know. Like it's I would like I'd get high and like not enjoy the experience, but then do it again, and keep doing it. And so it's a little bit of that, number of weekends where I was doing X, and I think then alcohol kind of took its course. And yeah, I mean every weekend, partying, and lots of partying, and then too, even after I got out of college, it just became a recurring thing. I think especially too in like the production industry. I mean, it's so ingrained in our culture. It's everywhere. And within the production industry specifically, I mean, you'd work these 10, 12, sometimes 18, 20-hour days, and you just be so drained at the end, but like you're part of a team, and at the end of the night it's all about drinking and celebrating that you got through the day. And so it was just normal. And so it just became a recurring pattern. And yeah, I mean it like I enjoyed the taste of it after a while. It's like I like the craft brews and the IPAs, and even two of like all the different creative designs and the packaging and such. When you're like walking through the aisle, it's like, oh, I want to try that one. What is
I see all these
it?
new ones saying, I go, I know I don't drink, but I just wonder what that tastes like.
Yeah, I saw one here locally that had Paperboy like all over the design of the packaging. Like that brings back some memories. So,
That's
um,
funny.
but it was, yeah, it was just pretty much every night. I mean, there were some nights where I didn't have any, or maybe just one, but most of the time it would just be a couple days, and then 8, 9, 10 beers deep. Um, just numbing myself. It was definitely over depression. Like I suffered with depression for a number of years, and I think too, like during that time of depression was, and I believe it may be common for most people, is like we don't know how to be with our thoughts or question our thoughts. And so I had never heard of meditation or mindfulness or anything like that. And so I went through a heavy breakup, my first deep loss, and found therapy. And she introduced me to meditation and mindfulness, and then I started that practice. And it was very, very hard at first. Trying to be still and be with your thoughts. And you think when you're starting that you can control your thoughts, but it's not necessarily about control. It's just about being with them and observing them. And it takes a while to kind of sit and be with that, and get used to it. And so that that started to shift. And yeah, it's a practice I've been doing for 11 years now, and it's definitely like a staple. It's like a must do it every day. It's Yeah.
I like that you mentioned too, it was kind of hard for you at first. It was the same thing for me. I remember I started in it was the last rehab that I went to, and they'd have us trying all different stuff. We were trying yoga and we tried meditation, and I remember trying to sit there for like just 2 minutes, and my head, I hadn't been alone in my thoughts without substances, without alcohol, without something for a while. And I'd just be sitting there, and it was so hard, but it's something that I really appreciate today. And I got better as kind of time went on. I want to ask you real
Yeah.
quick, the depression, because I know for me, I'm the same way. I take depression meds today. Sometimes I go days without it. Some day, and it's weird. I'm on such a low dose that I don't feel it when I go off, which is weird. But I'm kind of scared to not take it because everything's been working so well for the last 5 years. I'm like, I'm just not going to mess with the recipe right now. But I wanted to ask you because I know a lot of my depression too, at least got worse because of ecstasy. I was a guy who did a lot of ecstasy as well when I was 17, 18. Do you feel did you have depression before the ecstasy, or was that something that you think was brought about or worsened from the ecstasy? Have you ever thought about that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. And just before I talk about that, like I was on Prozac for a number of years, probably about 4 or 5 years, and I recently came off of it, and it's been about 3 or 4 months, and so far so good.
Nice.
I tapered off. I tapered off for like 3 months. Went down. I was on a pretty low dose of, I think it was at like 30 or 40 milligrams each day. And so it tapered off. And there's definitely been times where I've questioned like going back on it. But those have just been like one day, one moment type things, and then each day has been okay. And so I like the thought of if 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 I need to go back on it, I can, and that even if I need to be on it long term, then that's okay. That's cool. I mean, it was working and it worked, and so. But to your question, pre ecstasy, I don't. I start to like look. When I look back at photos of myself, like in like late high school, um I recall this instance of, like looking at photos of myself with my parents, and I just feel like there's this progression of sadness that like started to develop. And it like you look at myself as a kid and was just like bright and big smiles and lots of fun and always into games and playing outside. And um I don't know, things started to shift in high school. And I know in high school there was multiple instances of being bullied, and went through those experiences, and those were pretty traumatic. And I think too the culture within high school is pretty harsh, and when you have your different groups and cliques that you're part of or you're not a part of. And that vibe was tough, and the pressure and all that. And so I think it started before, I got to ecstasy. And but I wouldn't doubt that it definitely increased or affected even memory and such too, with the amount of times I did it. I don't think I did it a lot. I don't know what a lot is, but yeah. So
I remember that was actually it was the first kind of hard drug that I ever tried. Man, I loved it from the beginning, and thing was I overdid it. I remember doing it like multiple, like a month and a half straight. And you're supposed to give it a break,
each
and
yeah.
that was that should have been the sign of, because I remember the first day I tried it with friends, and they didn't ever want to do it again for like months later, and I continued to do it for about a month and a half. And that should have been kind of the sign of, hey, you just found this substance, and you're already doing it more and different than your peers. Like there were so many signs for me, but
Yeah.
I look back on it now, and it's kind of like you mentioned, you just get in that routine, and it just becomes something you're used to doing. And I want to ask you too about kind of the motto of kind of the work hard, play hard that you talked about in the film
Mhm,
industry. Like, hey, we
mhm.
got this crew. We're working 18-hour days. We're killing it, and we're working hard as a team, and we're going to drink as a team after. Was that kind of your? Was that part of like your thought process back then? Of hey, I'm gonna work hard and play hard too.
Yeah, I mean, you would I think drinking was thought of as like a reward. You know, it's like, fuck, we got through this hard day. Let's reward ourselves and celebrate. You know, cheers the glasses and one after the other, and after the other, and after the other. And yeah, and I mean, you're celebrating and having a good time. You know, the camaraderie and all that. And yeah, I mean, you know, the thing is now of being 5 years sober, it's like that experience can still happen. You know, it's like you don't need the drink to still enjoy that experience with, you know, these people that are your comrades. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. That's something that it took me a long time to realize that I could enjoy life sober. I just it had never really happened to me, and it was something that I just could never really achieve. I want to ask you: was
Mm.
when did you kind of realize that like drinking was causing problems for you? Did you start to run into kind of more consequences along the way?
I no, I mean yeah, I read This Naked Mind by Annie Grace, and that book was incredible with how it basically changed my subconscious, like, through reading that book. I think she did an incredible job with it, with the research and telling her story and just kinda interweaving all of that together, and it was still 2 years after I read that book that I had started, like, tracking to see if I could, you know, control my alcohol intake, and wasn't working. You know, it was definitely a number of days that I would go without it, but I couldn't find any patterns with it. And so I I've always been into like fitness. And so I had picked it up even more so and was going to Orange Theory Fitness. Are you familiar with Orange Theory?
Yeah, I am.
So the with the style there in the room, it's intense, and you know you go from section to like rowing machine to the treadmills, and you know I was on the treadmill and everybody was running except me, and I was catching my breath, and my coach came up to me and he said, what's going on?" And I said, "I just had a heavy night of drinking, and yeah, I'm tired." And he's like, "Well, you're not going to progress if you continue to drink like that." And that particular moment was what set in for me, because in that moment, I knew I wanted to progress in my fitness and feel better. And I know I had been trying. And so it was August 19th, 2020, when I committed to, to publicly commit for abstinence of 1 year online. And so then that was definitely like that accountability was big. And I knew 3 months after that that this was my new life and I wasn't going back. And it, yeah, yeah, it's just been an upward trajectory since then. It's been absolutely amazing. So,
That's cool too. Your date, you said August.
mm.
Mine is April 10th of 2020 as
Nice.
well.
So we're
Y-
5 years. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah, we're both
Congratulations. Yeah.
yeah, you too, man. It's I feel like 5 years is it's solid. It's I remember the first year I was just kind of oh, what am I doing? I got to get this routine, figure out who I am and what I like for fun and just kind of rediscovering myself. I want to ask you, after you committed to sobriety, what was it like the first few months before you realized, hey, this is something I really want to do? How was it in the beginning?
I mean, I think for me it's a little bit different just because I've been trying, for a number of years, and so it I would say it wasn't as hard. I mean, it's still, yeah. I mean, there's definitely no question there was some really tough days, and just um you just had to be with it. You just got to let the storm pass. And I'm fair, yeah. I At that point, I think Athletic Brew Company was out and they had beers out, and I was drinking those. So those non-alcoholic beers were definitely helpful in that transition period as well. But yeah, I mean that yeah, that first couple of months, it's hard to remember like exactly, certain days and how it felt, but like I just knew that each day that it was pushing towards it, like things were shifting. So yeah.
Did you ever have any close calls on those hard days? Did you ever were you ever really close to maybe taking a drink? I know because some people they just don't have any of those close calls, and some people do. Did you have any for yourself?
I don't think so, because it's, when I commit to something, it's like I want to fully commit to it. And I think, when I did that one year, it was like, okay, I'm gonna do this. And so I just recently had 1 year of meditating every day. So that was, a commitment I made. And yeah, yeah. So I just stuck with the commitment. So
That's great.
yeah.
You said,
Yeah.
"Look, I'm gonna do this," and you found a way to make it happen. And I'm glad that you mentioned meditation because anyone that's ever brought up meditation on this podcast has had nothing but good things to say about it. It's been a big, just a good part of what's helped them kind of maintain their sanity and their mental health and just kind of get by each day sober. I want to ask you, let's get into the sober creative. Can you tell
Yeah.
me how that came about? How was it and what you guys do over there?
Yeah. I mean, it came about by, I've been working with Sacred Business Flow is a business that I work with, two coaches, Phil and Carolina, that own the business, and I've been working with them for about a year now, and they have been helping me shape, what I want to do with my business, and like fully integrating aspects of my life like into this business of what I'm going to create. And so, we looked at my experience with, the video production and photography, and we had initially made the business to where I was going to help other people start their own video production business and be a creator and all that. And so I started down that path, and they had integrated to Substack. And so I started my business on there, and it was going well. I mean, I was writing essays and putting content out, but something wasn't quite landing. I've had this desire to do something more than just the production side of things. And there was a little stint where I wanted to do life coaching, and I've had various coaches over the years that I've learned so much from, and have just grown so much in all the practices that I do for myself now, that I wanted to give that back. And so I think through that business that was started, we knew something was missing. And so they started asking me questions around, they asked a question around sobriety and asked me to talk about that. And I remember getting on the WhatsApp message and just, I lost track of time. And it was like a 10-minute recording that I sent to them. And they were like, yeah, that's it. That's what you're going to do. And that was super exciting that, that was what it was going to be. And once they told me that, I had responded, and I don't remember exactly what I said, but in the response that I gave to them, the Sober Creative name came up. And Phil was like, that's it. Like, that's who you are. Like,
That's
that's,
badass.
yeah.
It's a badass name.
I love it, man. It is. It's like, it fits me perfectly
It's
because
so like
yeah.
clean and smooth. I don't know why. It's
Mm.
just so nice, you know?
I appreciate it, man. Yeah. And I bought like I immediately bought the website, and he's like, no, like, I can't believe you got that website. That was
I'm surprised
available.
that's not taken. Yeah.
So it was meant to be. Yeah. And so started in April, and I've just been, so passionate about my sobriety and how much it's given me. And, it's what I like to look at sobriety is, it's given me the ability to become who I am without numbing myself, without having to escape, and it's like you have that power to be able to sit with the things that are just, discomforting, the thoughts and the feelings and all of that. And you then build practices that support your sobriety around that. And so, I've adjusted like my sleep pattern, the way I eat, my fitness, my meditation practice. All these things are so supportive, like around my sobriety, that I feel like has been, incremental in how I feel and move throughout the day. And yeah, the Sober Creative, I feel like it's a movement. It's geared towards helping creative professionals look at their relationship with alcohol, and realize that there's something different that they can try, and that sobriety is much closer, and much closer than you think, and worth giving a shot. So
Yeah, and it's I just love the whole creativity aspect of it, and I feel like when I started to find some outlet once I was sober, and like you mentioned, where I was able to kind of sit with uncomfortable feelings, and I built kind of the foundation of the things I was going to do on a daily basis to kind of stay sober and start to enjoy it. And then when I started finding like little passions or little just outlets of creativity, my sobriety started to change. It started to really take off from there. How important do you think it is for someone to find kind of just how they're going to be creative in their life? And I know we all find different ways, but do you think the creativity is something that really helps us once we find it?
absolutely. I mean, I think, we're born out of creativity. I think, like, creativity is in our nature. I mean, it's with almost everything that we do. I mean, you can or you can call yourself to where it's like you don't think you're creative, but I don't think that that's necessarily true. I mean, I think everybody has some aspect that they're creative at. And I think it's so important to have that outlet, because I think whatever it is that you can be creative with, it's really about like tapping into that present moment, and that flow. And it's like, when you're in it, and it's almost like the same feeling as the euphoric feeling you'd get if you're drunk. I mean, it's like when you're in that space and you're feeling it, and you're feeling connected to that moment, and you're creating and flowing. I mean, you're in it. You're in it, and that's just worth doing it. It's worth creating that practice. And yeah, I mean, I've noticed it in my work too. Like, I did a job a couple weeks ago, and it was the North Carolina Seafood Festival for my client Aramark, and just I could just tell a difference in my experience being around everyone and in it, and having the gear in my hand, and just really loving what I'm doing in that moment, and being able to have that camera in my hand and just think of different ways where I can pull they were doing food demos, with different seafood dishes, and just really beautiful crafted dishes and different types. And, I'd pull it out to the side of the dock, and have the water in the background, the boats and stuff, and just getting creative and just having fun. And, pre-sobriety, I would have looked at it as like, it's a job, and I just got to get through it, and not fully engaged doing the work, but it definitely hits different now. So,
Yeah. I can really relate to that. There's a lot of things I used to do while I was drinking and now doing them sober. It was hard at first, but I feel like now I'm just
mm,
more in the present. Just I could see things for how they are, and I appreciate things a lot more. I want to ask you, what
mm.
was it like kind of going back to those, filming sets or working as, doing your job in film or photography, and then not being able to kind of participate at the end of the shift and drink with everyone. Was that weird at first? Did you tell people at your work that you were sober, or how did you kind of go about that?
Yeah, it was definitely, if I look at, my close knit group of who I've worked with, over the past, 10 years, I think we would have a number of nights that we would drink, and I think it was always looked at as like it was going to be temporary. And, if I'd take a break for a bit, but come back and then be drinking again, because it's just so common to be like, hey, can I get you a drink? Hey, do you want a drink? We're going to have drinks tonight. You want to come over? And, whenever I made that 1 year, it was a transition period, and it was hard for, I think, all parties, because it's challenging for the other side too, because it's like, hey, here's this friend that we drink with, and he's not doing that. And so, it's like, how do you engage in those moments? And it's challenging. It's really challenging, because it's a shared experience, and I think that there's some type of loss within not sharing, the alcoholic beverage that is typically there. But I think too, like, as time progressed, there has become more of an acceptance of, like, wow, okay, yeah, he doesn't drink anymore, and there's a difference when we hang out, that is like, they're still having drinks, and I'm not, and we're still having a great time and enjoying each other's company, and both sides like respecting that. And I think that's super cool. But yeah, it took a little bit of time to get there. So,
Yeah, and you kind of mentioned they thought it'd be a temporary thing. I think a lot of people in my life probably assume that too, and I think they realize now, like, oh, 5 years. I think it's like a good amount of time. We're like, you know what? Maybe he's just going to do this sobriety thing. It's probably best for him.
yeah,
The sober creative method. Why don't
yeah,
you tell me about that a little bit?
yeah. It's a 90-day one-on-one coaching program, and there's 3 phases to it, and each month is a different phase. And the first one is release, and within that first month, it's all about exploring and becoming aware of like your pattern around drinking. And that first month is really getting to know my client and looking at, okay, what are the reasons why do we need to drink? And every client is has a different situation that they're in, and so it's you have to respect where they're at, and kind of work within those boundaries and such. And so we look at we look at the different patterns, and I've developed a tracking sheet within Notion that is it's pretty detailed. Like you get in with like how many days in a row that you didn't have any drinks. You've got different line charts and places where you can describe like how you felt that day. And it's been really, really helpful to have that tracking information. And so that is the first month, is release. And two, it's progress. It's not perfection. I mean, there's no shame. It's like there's gonna be nights when you drink, and that's totally cool. I think it's a practice of understanding like, hey, why do I need this? And I think it's you keep showing up, you keep in, and a part of that first month is developing your why statement. It's like, why is this important to you? Why do you want to stop drinking? And there's a whole list of reasons that you can give for that. And then I ask my clients to post that everywhere. Put it on your car dash, put it on your mirror in your bathroom, and just be constantly, see that visual and be reminded that, hey, this is what I'm doing this for. And then the second month is create. And within that month, it's about creating some type of creative outlet. Like I have a client now, and she's doing ikebana. And do you know ikebana?
I don't even know what that is.
It's a
Like, sounds
Japan.
cool.
It's really cool. We were going, like, she's into Japanese culture, and so we were kind of like listing through different things, that creative outlets that she could do with that, and we came up with ikebana. And ikebana is flower arrangement,
Oh, cool.
and so she will forage for different types of like stems and branches and previous bouquets, and create her own uh bouquet of flowers. And it's beautiful. Like, she sent me her first one that she made and was like, wow, that's really cool. And so it's about having that practice, figuring out what that is, and creating that. But then also too, create it goes beyond like a fun practice, where it's creating the healthy patterns and practices that will will support your sobriety. That's walking, drinking water, meditating, exercise, what you eat. It's we explore all those different things within that month. Um and then the third month is become. Like, you really step into, for me it was 3 months, and I knew. And so this 3 months is about becoming a sober creative, and really stepping into that new identity, because that's essentially what you're doing. Is you're letting go of this person who believes that they needed alcohol in their lives to support them. And once you realize that you don't need it, and that you actually thrive without it, it's a pretty amazing experience to step into. So, yeah.
Wow, cool stuff. It, what is it like, just being someone that used to always have to turn to alcohol to kind of cope with whatever, and and now you've turned it around, over 5 years sober, and now you're giving it back to other people. What is it like? Is it surreal sometimes? Because I know I have moments at over 5 years sober where it just hits me, and I'm like, whoa, this is crazy how much things have changed. But do you have those moments while you're working with other people on their journey?
Yeah, well, I mean, this is just starting. So I just signed my second client recently,
Oh,
and
cool.
so given that this launched in April, this is going to be my life's work, moving forward, and it's like man, it hits me, and I cry. Like I think about I just think, they're like she shared, like my client recently shared, that like her daughter visited and the granddaughter, and we were supposed to meet one day, and for one of our weekly meetings, and she's like, "Can we reschedule? Because I'm having a really great time with my daughter and my granddaughter." You just think like, man, like this is giving back to her experience with her kids and the grandkids, and like just think of extended days and potentially years of this love and experiences that can be shared, that is powerful. And so it definitely, I feel it now, it hits me, and to be doing this work and to be of service, I mean, is it just means it means so much. I mean, I absolutely wake up every day and think like, wow, I'm super blessed that I'm here. I've gone through this experience, and I know what it's done for my life, and the fact that I can help others do the same is it's really fucking cool. So, yeah.
It is cool. It's just as you're talking about it, it's just powerful stuff, and I think it's shocking what can happen when we start to get connected to just our community, whether it's the coach or friends that are sober, or some other person you're collaborating with on some stuff. It's really powerful stuff, and I never get sick of hearing about it. It just never gets old hearing about just seeing what people start to what they're capable of after getting sober. It's really amazing. I want to ask you, Josh, which I normally ask everyone on here, and it's kind of perfect because you're a coach, but everyone has a different answer. But what is kind of your advice for someone that's just starting out on the sobriety journey? They've always turned to alcohol. They've always turned to something, and they're kind of just deciding, hey, look, I need a change, and they just where's somewhere that they can start? What would your advice be on just kind of starting to turn it around?
Well, I mean, I think there's this great podcast that I know is called The Sober Fix. They should start listening to that. So it's like you said though, I mean, there's a lot of resources out there that is just start to look for those resources. And I'm on my Substack, there's a ton of resources, and there's like an emergency protocol like resource that I have on there that people can utilize during their first, few weeks of drinking. That's definitely tools and such that are helpful there. I think too, it's you don't have to do this alone. Whether it's working with a coach or, finding a community. The Luckiest Club, like what they're doing over there is incredible. You've got AA, you've got Recovery Dharma. I actually facilitate on Sundays for a codependency group. And so that's been super rewarding as well. And I absolutely love what they're doing. Are you familiar with Recovery Dharma?
I feel like I've heard of it, but I'm not too familiar. Yeah, I'd love to hear a little bit more though, if you want to just
Yeah,
kind
I
of.
mean, it's based off of like Buddhist principles, like the Eightfold Path and the Four Noble Truths, and I like to call it, if it's like it's Buddha meets AA,
Oh, cool.
and it's, yeah, there's no one leader or teacher, it's all community driven, and yeah, it's a really beautiful community, and I mean, all the meetings are free, and so I think that like, I think it's important to find some type of community that you can be a part of, that you feel supported. Because I think too, it's, no matter what type of difficulty that we're going through, when we're in it, it feels like we're the only one that's in it. And that the pressure and the weight of that is really hard to white knuckle through it, so I think, yeah, I think finding listening to podcasts, reading books, finding community, working with a coach, I mean, all of these are great resources and things to start out with. Um,
Yeah, and kind of there's just so many different things out there nowadays. There's just
yeah.
so many different. Uh, I just like that you mentioned the resources and stuff, and just kind of, and what I always kind of tell people too is, you could do some of the same stuff I do, but eventually, like, you're gonna find your own path, the way too. We may do some of the same stuff, and then you may find other stuff that you do as well. I want to ask you, Josh, where do people find you if they were interested in going to your website and everything, or reaching out to you? What's the easiest way to do that?
Yeah, I mean, the www, why am I saying that? I don't think you need to say that anymore.
You used to,
The,
right?
oh, and the sobercreative.com links to the sobercreative.substack.com. So I'm on Substack. That's my primary platform that I work on. I'm on Instagram and all of those, but I don't actually put much content on there anymore. I'm just solely focusing on Substack. And so you can either subscribe or follow on Substack, and weekly podcasts, live guests as well. I have a new series that I've dropped called Disrupt the Pattern, where it's under 10 minutes and I pick a random question around certain I have a quiz too that people can take that looks at certain feelings around their creativity that alcohol might be affecting, whether you feel blocked or drained or hidden. Like, those are common patterns, like, around creativity and why you might drink. And so that quiz is free to take and takes 5 minutes, and that gives you a lot of insightful information as well. And so Substack with essays, the podcasts, the videos. Yeah, that's where everybody can find me. So
Cool, man. We're getting kind of towards the end here.
yeah,
I just want to ask you, what's your goal over the next year? You got all this great coaching stuff going on. You've got over 5 years sober. You got a couple clients already. You're working with people. What's your goal over the next year? Whether it's personal, sobriety, whatever. What are you working on over the next year?
the next year is there's a bit of like a transition period between my production work that is going to help sustain this transition through to the sober creative. And as I mentioned in the beginning, it's like I find it hard to like fully let go of that. I think that that's a part of the sober creative. It's like that's my creative outlet, even though I'm being creative with what I'm doing here at the sober creative. But there'll be a transition period with that, and my sole focus is building the sober creative. Booking as many weekly guests. I'd love to have 52 guests in a year for that. And just continue to build that out over the year, and ultimately get to where I'm 7 or 10 clients, per cohort. and grow into where the sober creative becomes something much bigger that eventually could be a community and retreats and different things that, yeah, it will be fun. It's a lot of fun things to come with it for sure. So
It does sound fun. You got to keep me posted on everything that's going on. I got one last
yeah.
question for you. You mentioned leading the codependency group. I wanted to ask you, I was someone who, when I got sober, I put the drugs and the alcohol down. And what I did was I kind of picked up a relationship and I kind of like, it almost was as if I shifted kind of addictions to where it was like just super codependent. And if the relationship was going well, I was on top of the world. And the second something was going wrong, it was like the end of the world. But I want to ask you, was codependency, was that something that you experienced throughout your kind of journey?
I think so. Yeah, I mean, I think so. I think I look at, previous relationships that I've been in, and definitely a lot of dependency. I think it takes work on all different areas of your life. I mean, I think that like it's so easy to get comfortable when things feel right, even though it's you have to do the work to build your network of friends and community and family and all that really helps support and nurture a relationship. And so it's a lot of pressure on either parties, if you're dependent on your well-being from another person. And so I totally relate with what you're saying about, yeah, it's like you move from one thing to another, and it's, catching awareness of that. And I think we're all works in progress, man. I mean, it's just trying to become aware of what patterns need adjusting and nurturing and moving towards figuring out ways to do that. And so, yeah, I know that sobriety has given me the ability to go inward, and I think going inward and being able to look at what those patterns might be to help myself has been key. So if that
Yeah.
helps answer, yeah.
No, it definitely does. And it's kind of looking inward is something that I I just feel the same way the sobriety's given me. It's just the ability to, even when you talk about kind of being aware. For so many years, I just was not even aware of the things I
Mhm,
was doing that was bringing me problems in life.
mhm.
And just once I started to become aware of these things, it's like finally I could start working on them. So I love that answer, Josh. Man, thank you again for taking the time to come on and share your story and everything. It's been really cool. Good luck with everything with the sober creative. I'll put all of your information, email, website in the episode details. Thanks again, Josh.
Oh, Drew, thank you, man. I appreciate the time.
All right, guys, you made it to the end of the episode. If you ever want to come on the show, tell your story, reach out to me, soberfixpodcast at gmail.com. Don't forget to check out our TikTok at the Sober Fix and also our Instagram at the Sober Fix Podcast. Don't forget to have an amazing week. Stay safe out there. And one more thing, if you guys want to have any topics or questions that you want me to ask any of the guests, go ahead and put it in the comments and I'll make sure to ask them. Thanks, guys.